Welcome to Sex, Lies, and Blank Pages with our very special guest, Shannon Mayer. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Shannon.
Appreciate
We
the
are
welcome.
we are so happy to have you on, and we know you, but for our audience who's listening, both authors and readers, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yes, I'd love to. My name is Shannon Mayer, and I'm best known for writing urban fantasy. Many people would have met me through my Riley Adamson series back in the early days of the indie world. And I've continued to write in the vein of strong women, underdog characters, and of course had to add in some spice as we carried on because I finally broke away from my more restrictive upbringing and realized it was okay to have a little more spice.
Absolutely. And how many years have you been writing?
I've been full time since 2013. 13.
13. I love it. So 12 years of
Yeah.
full
Oh, that was
time.
my first release was
Oh,
2013.
cool.
So you were just, yeah, that was when the
Yeah.
indie world was so different. I mean, that
Mhm.
was still when it
Very.
was just like still trying to
Yeah.
find its feet, but it
Yeah.
was starting to like switch over. Like,
Yeah.
most people were like, you know what? I don't have to wait for an agent
That's
anymore.
right. I
Yeah.
started publishing by myself in 2011. So it took me kind of 2, 3 years, 2.5 years to like decide to go full time. I had set like certain goals for myself that I had to make a bare minimum as much as what I was making in my day job. And in those early days, I don't know if you guys remember, but like there was people who had like one good month where they made like $20,000 and they would quit their job. And I'm like, oh, that's terrible. Like, because what if that didn't continue?
Mhm.
And in many cases, it didn't. It was kind of that one hit. So I was pretty careful. I was pretty cautious about taking that full-time dive.
We see a lot of people doing that even still, like during 2020 with the new
Mhm.
TikTok audience and a lot of TikTok authors or authors who arose from TikTok. A lot of them did quit their jobs,
Mhm.
in 21, 22, and then TikTok changed, which
Yes.
is what we're used to seeing in the industry is how much things change so quickly.
Mhm.
So what is I love this question. Some people hate this question. If you hate this question, pass.
Okay. It's
Totally
okay.
fine. Do you have shots with you? You could take a shot instead. I'm kidding.
Oh, it's a little early still.
Yeah,
It's a little
too
early.
early.
We're West Coast.
Yeah, I know, right? What time is it supposed to be? 5 o'clock somewhere. Uh,
Mhm.
um, what is your high and what is your low over the
For
last 12 years?
for like monthly income.
No,
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 just like
no, not money.
like
I'm
that
so
you feel
sorry.
like,
Like for your
oh my God,
emotions,
like the golden eras of like, when
Oh,
Amazon you used to be able to put in a book and you'd make number one just cause, and
right.
now, you
literally.
know,
Right. So I would
yeah.
say some of the golden eras for me, there's been a couple. Because so the thing, as you guys know, and authors who've been around longer than a month, there's just this constant swell of a wave. And sometimes the wave crests and things go well, and sometimes it drops. And it can be dependent on genre or a new platform or, a new marketing trend or a new ad trend or whatever. So I would say one of my best periods was kind of in that early, like when I was first going full time, from like 2013 to probably 2016, probably 3 years. I never got denied a book bub. I had a book bub every month because I just would rotate through my Riley Adamson or my other books legitimately every month. And at that time, book bub was
It was
still
like hot.
just hot dog, man. Like you had a book bub and you'd just increase sales just astronomically. And so that time period was really great for me. And in fact, a couple times there was like that glitch that happens and I'd get a book bub like at the end of one month and 2 weeks later, the beginning of the next month.
Yeah.
And so like I know those times. Um, those were great times. Those were
Mm.
really great times because there was no I didn't start running Facebook ads until really in the last few years. Like I didn't have it in me to really understand fully how to do it. I was like focused on my writing and other types of advertising and whatnot.
I
And
still love BookBob, but it
mhm,
is astronomically different because you lost the impact of rank movement, right?
yes,
Amazon changed its algorithm. So now
algorithm.
if you get
Mhm.
all those sales, it's not actually going to push you up to get even
That's
more
right.
sales.
That's right.
Yeah. So
And even within BookBub, they really took on a lot of the traditional houses. And so now the indies it's no longer an indie space. It's
Mhm.
indie and trad, and now it's not really even indie and trad. It's trad with a dash of indie. Like you don't have the access that we used to. Like I mean, for me to get a book club now, we're practically groveling and being like, we'll take any date, and like, and it's I still get it. Don't get me wrong. I am grateful for what I get because it does make a difference in particular series and just overall sales, but it's a very different beast.
It
And
is.
then I would say like one of the worst lows for me was I was wide in 2000, I want to say 2015, 16, 17 in there for 2 to 3 years. And I had a really good wide base. It was primarily through my elemental series, which is tied to my Riley series. And then KU hit, and I literally saw my income drop by 80%. It was unbelievable. It was terrifying. I
Mhm.
mean, this is after
Makes
I'd
me want to
been
throw up just listening to that, like 80% drop.
on.
Like I would
On.
absolutely lose
Mhm.
it.
And I had a small child. I was the only breadwinner. Like this is it was a really tough period, and I had to make a decision very quickly. And I did. I went into KU, my income rose up, it steadied, but I lost that ability to be wide. And I think, from a business perspective, Amazon is very smart at how to keep us all in KU. Very, very
Very
smart.
toxic
I
relationship, yeah,
It is
that
it
we
very
can't seem to
toxic.
get out of. Yeah, because
it's
I'm
not a
still fighting it. I don't feel the highs that people do off of being KU, but at the same time, when I'm wide, I also am like, this
Yeah.
doesn't feel like I'm making as much
No,
either. So
no.
I don't know, it's a dance every day.
I think it's on a massive decline though. Like at some point, there's a tipping point with Amazon and specifically with Kindle Unlimited. And for those who are listening, Kindle Unlimited is the subscription platform that requires exclusivity, unlike Kobo Plus, which doesn't require exclusivity of the books. And recently, within what the last, I want to say 3 years,
Mm.
authors have gone from spending, ad spend of a few $100s to a few $1,000 every single day. And
Yeah.
then publishers are now spending five to $10,000 a day on these ads. And KU is only truly profitable if you have a long series with great read through, which you do, Shannon. You have
Mhm.
great series.
Yeah.
Imagine your
Strong.
read through is epic.
Pretty
Um,
strong.
but also only if you can get visibility in that first book. And what has dropped drastically is the ability to get visibility on Amazon. And they are punishing these, TikTok authors specifically with those virals. They've changed how the algorithm works now to favor back catalog. So at some point, there is a tipping point, and I'm wide. I have one series with a co-author that's always been in Kindle Unlimited because she's comfortable there. And we've talked business and numbers before. And then I've placed one series, one of my better series into KU, and the amount I make on Amazon is
Mhm.
the same regardless of whether the book is in Kindle Unlimited or wide. But I have lost
You're
the other
wide.
platforms. So
So
it's
I think
actually worse
it
to be,
it it,
and I'm
it
not spending those thousands a
no,
dollar.
and it really depends, honestly. The thing that I've always seen and I always will hold to is it depends on genre.
True.
So when you are writing romance, you do have an opportunity of a wider base because romance readers are across the board. But when it comes to urban fantasy, there is typically a higher percentage of those readers on Amazon. And I don't know why. I don't know why, but they are. And so when you have to look at your genre whenever you're looking at, do I go wide or do I go with KU? Because certain genres, like I have a good friend who writes mystery and like small tone romance. That's Denise Grover Swank. She doesn't mind if I'll name drop her. She
She
has
has
always
many genres, that woman.
she has many genres, but she has always been a real powerhouse especially in the early indie years. And she's gone back and forth, tried KU, but she always consistently does well wide. So for whatever reason, again, you can say, well, mystery, thriller style, and she does romance as well. Typically, can do as well wide. There's not as many fantasy authors that are wide, that are as consistent from what I've seen. I could be totally wrong. So if someone prove me wrong, I'd be happy to see it. But
I
I'm
think
usually wide.
yeah,
But I'm not good with my numbers and I don't look at them because it makes me want to throw up most of the time. But I found that it's actually different, my romance, because I do the contemporary romance too,
yeah,
that they read so much and so fast that they don't want to pay full price for them. So I
right.
find that actually my romance does better in KU than it did wide. you
See, and
know.
that's the thing that makes it so interesting is because
Yeah.
what one person's perspective and experiences can be totally
Yeah.
different to the next, depending on that, whether it's genre or plot or just timing or cover.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's
But
Definitely.
I'm curious
Yeah.
because we talked about this when we were in Vancouver. Is your passive getting into writing, and also like your mother, like like you talked about, like your very conservative upbringing, and what made you get into the writing and letting go of some of your,
in
you
my
know,
past, my
yeah.
past. Yeah. So previous to this, my previous career was as a farrier, so I put shoes on horses. And the horses are still very much my passion. Like I have a big farm and I have many horses, which is why I have to write probably until I die. But I don't buy nice shoes for myself. I buy nice shoes for my horses. Like the reason my hair is not done and like kept up to date is because they get their massages. Like it's important. You
Your
got to
hair
take
looks gorgeous, though. I thought it
Yeah.
was intentional and done. It literally looks
This
perfect.
is
I
this
know.
is yeah, this is the upside of curly hairs. If you wash it and take care of it, does help a little. But
And I
yeah,
binge watch TikToks and Instagram reels of the shoes on
I
horses.
do too.
Well,
I'm so
come
obsessed.
on, it's because the guy's hot. Let's
the guy
not.
is hot. I know exactly who
Hot.
you mean.
We
Yeah, there's
all
a
know.
I
Stacey and
haven't
I
seen
send
one with
each
a
other the
guy.
TikToks.
I
if I was
literally haven't seen one with a hot guy. I'm always
I'll send it to you.
the
yeah,
shoes. I'm
I if I
missing
Really?
was
out.
if I was doing his where I
I'll
was like
send
in a
it.
sports bra and bent over, you'd have my little faux pas. Like it would not be as hot, but I could do the job still. No, it was a great job, a great career. I met a lot of really wonderful people and really gained a lot of confidence. I was very, very shy, very shy. And so when you run a business, you have to be able to talk to people. See, I do my horse's nails, but not mine. So, it was a really good career for me in many, many ways, but it was very physical. I got injured a few times, pretty bad, trampled a couple times. Um,
Oh my
I,
goodness.
I got kicked in the legs. I have metal in my arm that will never come out. I broke toes. So it's
Oh,
very
I bet you're
physical.
fun to go to the airport with.
Yeah, it doesn't come off. It's in this arm. It's in my left arm. It doesn't set it off. So
Oh,
I don't
that's
know if
good.
my body's wrapped around it enough, but I really wanted to have a child, and I knew that in order to do that, I probably shouldn't be shoeing horses. And I'd always loved to write. And so I was just encouraged to just try. And it took me like 3, 4 years to write my first book. It was terrible. One of my friends, oh my God, she's like, yeah, I still have that. I'm like, what are you saying? She's like, you sent me the like paper of it. I still have it. I'm like, please burn it. She's like, I'm gonna wait till you die, and then I'm gonna sell it for $1 million. I'm like, oh my God, it's so cringy,
Or
awful.
anytime she gets mad at you, she just pulls it out.
I can never not, and she knows who she is. So, but it's just one of those things where, that first one was really tough because I was really working under a lot of self-imposed like parameters. Like I was still very heavily involved with the church that I was raised in, and you weren't allowed to swear, and you weren't allowed to have sex before marriage, and there was you can't drink coffee, and you don't do drugs, and you don't have alcohol, and da 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 da. Like there was a huge list of do's and don'ts. And so as I'm writing the book, I'm writing it thinking, what if my mother saw this? Or what if my bishop saw this? Or what if, my brother who's been on a mission has seen this? I'm giving you the clues as to which religion it is if you'll like figure it out later. And then there's just all these things that I wasn't supposed to do. And the book isn't great because every piece of it was like pulling teeth because it wasn't actually true to the story that I was trying to tell, right? Like I was trying to tell a story, but I was trying to tell a story and fit it within what I was allowed instead of allowing myself to be creative and just tell the story and say, this is a story that I can tell. And you all should just be glad that I'm going to be able to take care of you in your old age. And then so that book was terrible.
It's fiction,
It is
right?
fiction.
We're not allowed to murder people, but that happens in books too.
Right.
You
Okay, that
know,
would be that would actually be more acceptable. Violence is
isn't
acceptable,
that
but but
crazy?
Not
but
the
not
sex, yeah.
but not
Yes,
sex.
right.
Anyways, so the next book that I wrote, I was really angry because I got a lot of rejections, obviously, on that first one. It was terrible. I did take it through an editor, so I did learn some of the like backstory of like how to edit. And then the next book I wrote from a place of like just really like I'm not even gonna think about them. And the book came out way, way faster. So I think it took 3 or 4 months, which was significantly faster. And I loved it. And it got me an agent within a very short time. And I was like, well, hang on a second. So there was something about, like, I immediately started going, okay, well, it's different. The difference is I didn't hold back. I didn't try and be something that I wasn't. I just wrote the story. That agent and I weren't actually a great fit. She didn't do any fantasy. She just really liked the story idea, and again, great experience. And then I continued on. I went my separate ways from her and started, after seeing a good friend make some money doing the indie publishing, I was like, okay, I'm going to try it. And I started writing like 30,000 word novellas. So I would break one book into 30,000 word, 3 novellas, because I was like still working full time. And then suddenly within a year, I was making $4,000 or $5,000 a month. And I was like, that what? On like novellas and a couple short stories. And I'm like, this is really crazy to me. I mean, I'm obviously very excited. And then my breakthrough was Riley. My breakthrough was Priceless. I put it up in November of 2012.
And this was indie that you
Indie.
put up, right?
This is still indie. Yeah, I wasn't even really hybrid for many, many years after this. Put the book up for 99 cents. And I was terrified because in the book, the other ones had been relatively cleaner. There was some canoodling, there was some violence, there's some language, but it was on the lighter side, right? I still was kind of going to church. So it was like, oh God. Anyways, this one I like unleashed a little. Like Riley has a really foul mouth. It's kind of tied to her abilities, whatever. There is a couple of sex scenes in the second book. Like I really leaned into what I love to read, even though I wasn't supposed to write it, and I put up a warning and I said, if you are my mother, do not read this book. It has sexy times, it has bad language, it has violence, and I really don't want to deal with this at the dinner table at Thanksgiving or
That's
whatever.
funny.
That's like the best sales
And
pitch.
it
Yeah.
was. But it
Yeah.
was legitimately, I was terrified. I was so afraid that people I knew in my real life would read it because I wasn't smart enough to use a pen name.
A different name. Yeah.
Yeah. So it went to the top 10 on Amazon, which just blew my mind because I was like, and every time I'd refresh, there was more sales and more sales and more sales, and it got picked up. I don't know if you guys remember Pixel of Ink back in the day. It was like the biggest blog, and you couldn't pay them. They just decided which books to put on, so it was very curated in that respect, and they picked it up, and it just kind of went nuts.
That's
Um, and so I had about a month where I sat in the top 100 with one book, 99 cents, and made more money than I'd ever made in a single month in my life on a 99-cent book. It was insane. And so at that point, I was like, I actually think I have something here. And I had been starting to write another book. And I'm like, change my mind. Second book of this one. Let's go. Right. Like, and Riley really did make me an author. Like Riley was the character that I would say I wanted to be in my 20s. Do you know what I mean? Like strong and hard and badass.
So two things. Number one, is that the book that you would recommend to readers? But before that, number two, if you are at home, our audience, lift up a glass. I think that deserves a cheers because I freaking love that story. So
I know. That's
unfortunately
amazing.
have sparkling water right now, but
Me
too.
cheers. Yes.
Cheers. Thank you. Yeah, I like telling that story because I really think that a lot of people didn't believe in me as an author. I mean, I had people in my life saying, like, who do you think you are? Like, you're not going to be Stephen King. You're never going to make it.
People are
I mean,
awful.
Yeah. I think we
it's
all
not,
hear that.
and I think it wasn't even from a place of being like jealous at that time. It was like they were fearful that I would try and fail, but I'm like, I'd rather try and fail. And that has always been my motto is I would rather try and fail. And then when things started taking off, they had to eat a little bit of crow. And my good friends did. They were like, yeah, good for you. And then, a few others, you run into all sorts of types. And as far as like which book to start, Riley is a big world. And I love that world. Like there's 10 main books, there's a couple of novellas. There's a 4-book spinoff. And then if you really want to get deep into it, the Elemental series, which is another 7 books, is actually tied into Riley. The characters cross over and there's like a timeline. Sometimes authors think they're smart and they're not. And they do things that they look back and think that was a terrible idea. It is so interwoven that I actually had to make a chart so people could see from a chronological timeline how to read it. you can read them individually, but you lose a little bit because you're like, wait a minute, what
Mm.
happened there? Like there's a time jump there. So
I've done it all. I did it all. And that's
yeah.
you're like, and then when you have a new release of that same world and everybody's like, oh, I want that. You're like, oh, I'm sorry, you got to go back 13 books.
Oh, I wish it was only 13.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
I
then
had
they're
a
like, well, where do I start? And you're like, oh, you can jump in anywhere. But then there's the people that are so anal that if they get one spoiler that's out of,
that's
you're
right.
like, oh my God, I don't
I
know.
think in that world I have 25 books total
Oh, wow.
between like
Okay.
4 series because they
It's hard to
And
like
your
market
books
that. Yeah.
your books are much longer, right? They're like 90 to
no, that
110.
no, those series are probably like the early Riley ones are like 65,000 words. So they were like
Oh,
bigger
Like,
than a novella.
yeah, I write
So
around 50 to 60. So yay for
yeah,
having somebody who writes the length that I write.
yeah.
Yeah.
she's
Yeah,
like,
and
not
so those,
anymore.
so yeah, not anymore. But like that's what I find is like I would say the more I write and the more I recognize the need for additional depth and volume and like my Riley
The
series
world
is so
building. Yeah.
fast paced. Like it's like action after action after action. There's not a lot of time to breathe, which is great if you want people to read the book in one night.
Mhm.
But sometimes people want to have that take a breath, right? I'm getting better at it. After I don't know 95 books, I'd hope I was getting better at it anyways. So I feel like it is a fun place to start, but it's a big commitment. So if people were just saying, "Oh, I just want to try something of yours to see if we like it," I have trilogies. I have several trilogies that you can dive into, and some that are spicier and some that are more urban fantasy, and I feel like those would be.
It's funny though. Like, I don't understand. Like, when people go, oh, that's a lot of books. I'm like,
Mm,
yeah, but if like you can read the first book if you don't like it and you just stop. But I love crawling into bed at night already knowing characters. Like,
yes.
the when people are like,
Mhm.
oh, I just want one book and done. I'm like, but wouldn't you rather be in the world that you don't have to think like, oh, I have to meet these new people. I have to get to know them,
Yeah.
like whatever the situation is. I'm like, I love series for that. I love
Mhm.
crawling in and being like, ooh, the next one. Like, I already know these characters. I already love these characters. So that's, I just, when people do that, I'm like, but like, if you're so busy, don't you already want to be in a world that you know?
I agree.
I also
Like,
think you kind of breezed over it. It just came off so easy. 95
I
books.
was gonna ask the same thing.
Oh,
I
wow.
love it. I have 65 and I started in 16 and you started 4 years. So I think I won't be
you,
able to catch up to you
oh
unless
yeah.
I stop. But I
I
feel like I'm
That's
on pace and I
insane.
love that. I love it
I
so much.
I mean, the thing is in the early days, especially before baby and when baby was easy, like I was doing 6 to 8 books a year pretty consistently. And I felt like that I had to from a push standpoint because I wasn't doing a ton of advertising. My best advertising was my next book.
Mhm.
And I really and I love writing. Like honestly, it's like my favorite thing to do. It's like, oh, what are you gonna do? You've got all this time to yourself. You finish that book and you could go to the spa. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna write down this idea I have
Yeah.
because this is a really like it's not just my job, it's the thing I do also to like enjoy my life, you
Mhm.
know?
It's like
So I think
therapy
that's
almost in a way,
hmm
or at
Well,
least
it's
a
one of those things that like, most people when they finish their job, they kind of want it over. Me, it's like I sometimes think like, oh, if I was to quit writing, my brain still wouldn't stop. Like I would be like,
exactly.
I would
I,
say that like, oh, I'm going to quit writing. I'm going to step to the side, but
yeah,
my brain would be constantly going through
constant.
stories. I'd be in the
And
shower going, oh, that's a good idea.
yeah,
Ooh, that's interesting. It's just obsessed. I think authors were obsessed
I
with
think
like.
I think so. Have you ever done the Clifton Strengths test with Becca Smythe?
I
Is it
know
Becca
she has. I don't think I have yet.
So I've got my top five, and my top one is ideation. And so the problem with that is that it's not just the ideas, but like if you came to me and said, I have a problem with this plot, I'd be like, oh, but we could do blah, blah. Like I immediately go into problem solving mode with the ideation thing at the top, which is tough sometimes because not everybody actually wants you to solve problems. Um, but it's also tough because it means that is constant. If it isn't a book idea, I'm like, oh, if I started another business, and if I make myself so much work. It is like I actually have my friends now are like, No, like you have to not. We know that you're capable of working under stress and pressure, but maybe take a breath, girl. Like you're gonna like it's actually become just kind of a running gag joke. I don't know what to call it anymore.
One of my top five is also ideation, I believe. I forget mine at this particular moment. I am like, I had a workout right before this. And
Oh,
yeah. So I'm like partially fried. But what are your others? Do you know your others?
I could pull them up, but I believe there were things like
Mine are all
uh,
like business.
I had like ideation, empathy. There was an intellect one. There was no analytics because I could like, numbers don't mean anything to me.
Yeah, okay. I'm this probably the same as you guys.
I'm kind of
I'm
like
like,
it's like a mix of the creative, like, and because the intellect doesn't mean like I'm smart. It means that I just like to learn. It's just like
Mhm.
it's like and so yeah, me and Denise Grover Swank, we both did this same at around the same time. We have the exact same five in different orders. And I'm like, no wonder we're buddies. Like we're like besties. And I'm like, that's not really a surprise. Like, because our core values and everything are very, very similar. And then take on like just who we are inside our heads. So it's terrible. Well, you guys know how it is. You get together with a bunch of author friends and suddenly the ideas are just
Boom, egg.
everywhere.
but then like I think you and I were talking about like I'm very good with ideas, but like you said, putting it in place. I need somebody to do it.
Hi,
Right,
Like
Colleen.
right.
I'll think of all these great ideas, and then I'm like, Colleen, do it.
Yeah, exactly. Got to have the right people around you. That's all.
And do you
Exactly.
like because taking Denise out of this because she's
Hmm.
one in the middle. Do you believe in authors sticking to their like a one genre? Like I've heard of like stay in your lane kind of thing when you're because I love contemporary romance, but it feels like that is not right now. It feels like the big trend is if you're contemporary going over to fantasy, and you seem to
Right,
do like
right,
number one.
right.
But it does not seem to work the opposite way. But I'm just wondering if like marketing wise,
I
like
think I think for the most part, unless you have different pen names, which I think is smart, like especially if you're going to different, like really different genres. So if you look at like urban fantasy, paranormal romance, romantasy,
those
even
could be
epic
all same.
fantasy, those four kind of sit together. Bad nails.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, you could have, contemporary romance, sweet romance,
Dark romance.
Dark
yeah,
romance,
dark
yeah.
romance. They'll kind of, so you can write in those. So I think you have to stay within your wider genre lane. I do.
Yeah.
I think that for a certain pen name, and my gut feeling is two things. One, you are creating reader expectations. So it's why I don't know if you guys remember when Rebecca Yarros was talking about working on another book, and it was not a Fourth Wing book. And the
Mhm.
readers came down hard on her, like, how
She
dare
had a
you?
contract. She
I know,
literally had a
I
contract and
know,
had to
And
but
she
write.
like
started out contemporary.
Yeah,
That's her
that's just it.
first,
exactly.
like,
But that's just it. And so you create a reader expectation. I'm not saying they were right at all, but it was really interesting to watch because I'm like, ultimately,
Yeah.
she's still going to have readers in both, but it is like if she was a little author, which she very obviously is not,
Yeah.
you can piss off your reader base by going over here
So
when they
I
think that you should be here.
I
Mhm.
do it all. I write small town, I write paranormal, I write dark romance. And I've noticed I have fewer buys in small town because I think a lot of my audience doesn't want it. But I think the backlash of readers is a new thing, and that's a few bad apples, and you're going to get backlash regardless. But in terms of like income and money, I
Mhm.
have not seen a drop, and I do see read through
But I think you're still
between
within
genres.
that wider genre, right? They're all romantic type
They're all
books.
romance. Yeah,
That's the key. So, but what I'm saying is, if you then suddenly went over and you decide to write
a thriller
hardcore sci-fi,
or yeah.
right? And you write about aliens, and there's not a drop of romance in there, and it's violent and weird space battles, and
Yes, that
clean me
should
up,
be a different pen
Scotty.
name. Yes.
You would your readers would be like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Or you do kids' books, separate your
Yeah,
name.
but
I do
yeah,
have
you
one kids book, but I wrote it under Willow and Co. rather
Oh,
than Willow
yeah.
Winters.
See,
Like the
but that's
pen
just
name is
it.
Willow and Co. Yeah, my baby, I wanted to do one. I was like on a train back from a book signing, and an
Mhm.
idea hit me. I was like crying. I was like, let me just write it out. And then I wrote it just so my babies would know, like, I think of you and I love you. Also, mommy's now going to write a romance. Get out of my office. Like,
Yeah. My little guy wanted me to write him like because he was big into Harry Potter and then now he's into Percy Jackson and we talked about me writing kind of like a Western style of this, right? To
Hi.
build in the farm and everything. And I'm like, dude, like I love you so much. So I'm just gonna write the books that make me money to pay for the things.
Yeah.
Like I just can't, I love the idea of it, but I'm like, my brain just does not want to do YA. It
Hmm.
just
no, but
it
that theme of as an adult, I was like, magic and horses and a
I
farm.
know,
Like,
I
why?
know, like Westerny. And maybe one day I'll do it, but it might be like for his kids and he'd be like, thanks, mom. I'm like, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, no, I always like knew that at a certain age I was going to be like, you know what, an 80-year-old probably writing sex scenes. I'm like, probably not going to be for me. So I'm like, at that age, because I'm going to have to work till I die too. I'm like, then I'll probably switch over to like young kids'
But
books.
hey, like who cares? You just switch out your avatar to like a little picture of a book. And they don't have to know you're 80. All
Yeah.
those new readers, they don't know.
I'm gonna be the
Except
proud
now,
run
like it
figure
affects
mom.
when we were like, I mean, I do feel, and this is, might be controversial. I feel like now being an author is almost a young person's game. Where
Mm,
before Stephen King and all those older people could sit behind their computers and not be bothered, it was separate. Now
mhm.
we're the commodity too. Like people like on personalities will buy your book or not buy your book off of your own personality. But I also like feel like that at one time, even when we first started, you would meet like that author that you read that book that you're like, dude, that was so hot. Oh my God. They had all these like, a threesome or whatever. And then you meet them and they're like in jeans and they're like 70 and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
I think that change probably came with social media. This
Yeah.
next
Yeah.
young
Well,
person
COVID
social
and
media sells.
TikTok really felt like all of a sudden it's a young person's game, that I feel like it's all about like this young, like cute, pretty girls that are putting up these books and, well, you're part of it, and I'm like, God, I feel like I just want to be the old hag behind the computer. I'm like, leave
Oh,
me alone.
I think, but I think that's where, as authors who've been around the block a few times, we're the whores that have been around for 10 years, and the new pretty prostitutes have shown up, and here we are, and that sounds really crass, but the reality is we are selling a part of ourselves. So what I mean by that is that we do sell a piece of ourselves whenever we write a book. And some of us are better at standing on the corner and hawking our wares than others. And there is going to be more attention to things that are flashy and new. But that doesn't mean, it's kind of the thing I've seen is that a lot of these authors, they're flashy and new, and I'm not going to use any names because power to them if they can keep with it, but a lot of them disappear. A
They
lot of
do.
those flashy new authors, they hit it and they're like, I'm the cat's meow and I'm the big dog now. And then 6 months later, they're gone.
Yeah. I mean, when I
Or
first started, I was told, look to your left, look to your right, and neither of them will be here next year,
Mhm.
which was wild for me to hear because I wanted everybody to succeed. But A, it's hard work. Money comes fast and money goes down. And if you don't know how to manage money and you don't know when taxes come, how much you're supposed to save or what an ROI actually is. And a lot of these people aren't in business. They don't have a business
No.
mindset.
Yep.
And I
Yeah.
think there's an element here that is important to talk about that I don't know how much gets talked about on podcasts is that most authors, I would lay money that most authors have some sort of mental health, whether it's anxiety, depression, ADHD, autism, take your pick. And so we write as part of our escape, but it also means that when things get hard, if we're not managing our mental health, we will disappear.
And the burnout is real.
And burnout
Burnout
is
is
super
real.
real. And
Mhm.
so there's definitely like I'm not like cheering on that these people are disappearing. I'm just taking note that they make this big splash and then they're gone. And a big part of my brain says, are they gone because they couldn't handle the pressure? They couldn't handle the stress. Never mind the writing side of it. I mean, as much as I'd love to say I spend 90% of my time writing, I probably spend 10% of my business time writing and 90% dealing with all the other shit that
All the
comes
other
along.
shit.
It's
All
also
the other shit.
partly probably because of backlash with a lot of these newer authors, especially if they come from TikTok. There's a rise of then the toxic book talk, which is like they'll hype you
It's
up, hype you up,
toxic.
hype you up, and then as soon as you have success, tear you down. And some people get their success from support around them, and some people just they don't want to be there anymore if they're the environment that these friends, right? You think you have friends,
So,
and then they're all attacking you and telling you you're a horrible person, and it's like it comes from left field. So I think some of it's a different world for a lot of these authors, and it's a hard world. It's very
for
hard.
sure. For sure. And I think that they quite often do have that like that viral success, which feels amazing when you're getting talked up and hyped up. And I don't know for sure, but I feel like that the toxicity is more prevalent in certain genres.
It is.
And I
It's
yeah.
don't,
100%.
Yeah.
Was it Katie the other day said something that actually hit me because I posted something about, and she was like, who's being mostly attacked are not just romance, but women
Mhm.
writers. And it's women that are coming after us mostly.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's just like, Oh my,
Now, hold on.
so
I don't think I've ever seen any toxicity at all in the romance genre.
Oh,
That
funny,
was a joke.
funny. Because I'm like, like I have not seen
Uh,
one male author being, called out for
I
AI or
have.
being called
I
out,
have.
not
There's a
one.
lot
Okay.
there. No, there's more than it's very difficult, I think, for men to enter the industry and not be attacked, including like that.
I'm
There's
not saying
that one
romance. I'm
writer.
saying like just any other genre because
Oh,
romance is
yeah,
other
being
genres.
topped.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like,
So like if you
um,
look at some of the other genres, specifically like thriller, that are dominated more by men, thriller, mystery, lit
Mhm.
RPG, even like epic fantasy,
Mhm.
there's just not the same. Like people do not care what they're doing as long as they're doing their job. Whereas with us, it's like you can't just do your job. You better have your hair done nice, or like you better behave a certain way. You better not ever admit to, any sort of anything that we don't like. And by that, I mean, like, it could be that you went to the wrong signing, right? But maybe you were at that signing that the bad things happened at most recently, and people were like, don't admit that you were even at that signing, because if you were at that signing, you could be attacked. Like, and I'm like, that's terrible. That's
Mhm.
really terrible.
Part of it, I think the part of being successful is also knowing when to compartmentalize because like part of the reason that romance is such a successful genre is that it has such a wide audience and you're gonna hear but, and it's a matter of are you gonna give it energy or are you gonna block them? Because I get all day long, like people can find anything to attack me from any which way, and it's like, well, does it matter? Because to
Yeah.
them, it feels like the whole world, right?
Yeah,
But it's really, if you give it nothing, it is nothing.
that's right.
But
Don't fuel the fire.
yes,
Like
but
that's
for
really,
newer authors, it feels like they're right there in that world with that person and they want to defend themselves. If people attack because they asked an intrusive question and you didn't answer it, so they assume the worst, and now you are that thing, and now everybody has the right to attack you on a moral grandstanding for something that does not exist in reality. And for a lot of people, they want to defend themselves or they want to explain or whatever. And it's like, is that really what
oh, and
you
I've seen the people that do the apology or explain, and it's still not good enough. It's
still
like,
not
oh,
good
they
enough.
didn't
know?
No,
apologize
no.
right. And you're like, oh
Mhm.
my
Yeah. No,
God.
for sure. Even there's an author right now that I actually just started following. I don't know where she's at in terms of her like income or well-knownness, but she was called out for having a prompt in her arc that obviously
Mm,
came from
I saw
AI.
that.
And
Mom?
like so it said like help me write a like I don't know what it was
Like from
exactly.
Chat GPT.
Like through ChatGPT through an AI prompt. So she had this prompt that was still in the book when she sent it to her ARC readers. So she got called out. She got drugged. Yeah, she got drugged through the mud. And this was the piece that I thought was really actually interesting is that she held her ground. And my understanding is her explanation was like, I don't write the whole book in AI. I was struggling with that scene. I needed some help, the same as I would with an editor. That was
Yeah.
her explanation, but I'm not going to apologize for it. She's like, I am not going to apologize for it. Like she was very, very firm on it. It has not hurt her income. In fact, she posted something earlier today where it showed her income had quadrupled because in standing, whether or not you agree with the AI or whatever stance that you want to take, stand on your own two legs and hold your ground
Mhm.
for whatever piece of it that you feel strongly about. I don't care what it is. Like I have in the past, I had to deal with I don't know if you guys remember when there was that trademarking shit that was happening. And this fella
Yes.
decided he wanted to trademark the term the Elemental series. Well,
Mhm.
I have the Elemental series as well. And mine had come out before his. And so we started going back and forth. Man, I fucking blasted him on Facebook. We'd gone back and forth privately a couple times. I said, but dude, you can't do this. You cannot do this. I will come with pitchforks and my lawyer. I don't very often go on blast online. And so like, everyone's like, oh, the Canadian got mad. I'm like, well, it's Canadian goose for a reason. But
Don't.
the truth of it is that because I stood my ground, people will respect that
Mhm.
always over
Mhm.
just bowing to whatever the masses want just to make your life easier. Like I hate to
Mhm.
say that. So, like I say, I've been through it a few times. I've been plagiarized, I've been copied. I've had my cover art. I used to do photo shoots for my cover art. And so they were I owned them. They weren't on stock photos anyway. I had one man steal those those images and put covers up. And I went to him, I said, you can't do this.
Mhm.
Same thing. Like, so you have to know when to stand your ground because I think it hurts you less in the long run. And it
Mhm.
hurts your heart less if you're like, find your power, find your strength, and just say, that's enough.
No, I fully agree that with that because I'll even if somebody like we don't agree politically, whatever, they stand their ground, at least I know where they stand. It's the
Mhm.
wishy-washy people that are like, oh, I'm just gonna go wherever, like,
Blows.
it's easiest for me to wiggle through. And I'm like, I don't like you do respect that less. It's like I'd rather
Mhm.
know that your core value is that. Okay, fair enough.
Mhm.
But
Definitely. And I feel like this is a good, like that was an excellent place, like very inspiring to end it. But I
Yes.
still have one question.
Yeah.
What is your, just before we head out, I know that, Riley was a good place for people to start if they're ready to binge through, which I highly recommend. Even if you usually only read one thing, why not dive into the one thing that sets somebody off? Like, I love that. But what's your personal favorite?
Oh,
and also
I
talk about your new
know. I'm
release.
so
You just have a
sorry.
new
okay.
release too.
I do. Obviously, the new releases like Neverthorn is, I'm so excited for that for so many reasons. I've been planning it for years, kind of thing, to have it out there.
I
But when
just read it,
people
guys. It was great.
oh, thank you. Um, I I think when I talk about favorites, a lot of times it's not even just the story, but it's the main character. Like who is the character that I resonate with the most for, and it can be just time of life. Like I say, like Riley really was what I wanted in my 20s. And as I got older, I wrote other characters. So one of the characters that I still come back to, and I really love her because she was so unapologetic and she had zero fucks to give. And she was on a mission is Nyx from my Fury of a Phoenix, my Nyx series. She had been an assassin and she left that life. She was an assassin for the, like, she would go after the supernaturals for her mafia family. She left that life and then she was dragged back into it when she believed that both her husband and her son had been killed on a hit meant for her. Now, the son is not,
Mhm.
but she literally goes into like mama bear slash like steamroller mode. And it was so fun to write a woman who was powerful, unapologetic. She was like, I don't think you understand what you've unleashed. I don't think you understand
Yep.
what you've unleashed. And and I say that she think because the first opening scenes I wrote when my son was very little, and it is a really brutal car
Amazing.
accident.
Mhm.
And she is like, she loves her family. She loves, but she is a hard, hard woman. And so there's a piece of me that's like, whenever things get tough, I'm like, just pull it in, man. You wrote that character. There's a piece of her in you, so you got this. Like, so I think she is a part of my backbone, and it's why even though I have written other strong characters, I've written other books that I love, adore, maybe on a whole more, that character has always really resonated like that tuning fork down my spine. Like, you got this. No matter what, you got this.
I got
So,
chills
I
listening to
know.
you talk
I
about
know.
that.
Well, I also feel like she sounds like a character that like society puts so many norms on women about how we should act. We should be a little feminine. We should, bow a little bit to this. And when you've like especially hurt a child, all those go away. And I mean,
100%.
and that freedom also of being like, you do not know what you unleashed when you hit mama bear mode or like my loved ones. Whew, women
Yeah.
are probably scarier, way scarier
I
than
think
men.
they are because I think
Mhm.
that once you take off a restraint of an animal that's been caged a long time,
Yeah.
there is an energy there that is like an explosion,
Yeah.
truly. It's why you see women have glow ups after divorce. It's why you see them suddenly become a person you don't recognize anymore because of all that energy that's finally like kind of released into the world and they can own themselves and own their own power. It's honestly it's a beautiful thing, but it's terrifying for men.
Mhm. I freaking love that.
No,
And where
again, we're terrifying for men.
it's literally perfect.
Yes.
And where can our audience find you in terms of social media handles?
So I'm on Instagram at Shannon Mayer Author, I think. I don't, I'm terrible. And also Hijinks is my publishing on there, so it kind of goes back and forth, my publishing title. Facebook, you can find me both individually, Shannon Mayer, and I have Mayer's Magnificent Readers, which is my reader group. It's a really good reader group. I keep a tight rein on it. There's no bad behavior in there. Um, So it's a very safe place, is what I'm trying to say. Like if you like, I really write for the underdogs because I always felt that way. So my readers that come to me and find me and stay with me are quite often the people who feel like, how this found family of underdogs and people who are underestimated and just want to be somewhere safe. Like that's really what my goal is here. And then of course newsletters and that sort of thing. But if you find me in one place, there's stuff all
Yeah.
over.
And then are you doing any events next?
I don't have anything on the list right now with my current life and kind of the upheaval at home. I haven't made too many plans. I've actually just been reached out to go to Paris for the release of Neverthorn in French, which I'm very excited for in May. So I'm actually just planning that. It might be a girls' trip, like it might just
Ah,
have to be a
yeah,
girl.
and funny, you'll find me in your suitcase.
Right?
No problem. No
You're
problem.
like, and how did Stacey arrive?
So I have that one and nothing else kind of seriously booked. I mean, I get reached out to lots, which I appreciate. But it's difficult. I live on a little island off the coast of Canada. Like travel is actually really difficult because I'm dealing with like a ferry and then flights and then trucks. Like it's like, planes, trains, and automobiles, man. Like it is a effort to do the international travel in particular. So yeah, it's kind of
But you
on.
did say you were going to adopt me because I'm so close to the border.
I know, I know. I was like, come on, it's fine. It's no problem. Just hop the fence. It's good.
Right? The man with machine guns is stopping
Nobody
They
nobody.
will
won't.
notice.
You could just swim,
Yeah.
swim around the point, right? Just swim around the point. I'll meet you out there in a boat and be pulling.
Okay.
No, no, don't shoot at us. You know.
Yeah.
All right,
Thank
Shannon, it was great having you. I'm so
Yeah.
glad
Thank
you
you.
joined us, and I hope
Thank
to hang
you.
out with you soon again.
Thank you so much, ladies. This has been super fun, and it's nice to meet you, Willow, finally in person, and
I know,
love to
it was
catch up.
lovely.
We'll do it
Yeah,
again
definitely. I
with
would
proper
love to
drinks
have you
in
on
the
again.
evening.
Yes, with a proper bar at proper with proper drinks.
We need
I
to time it better.
That sounds fantastic. And for our audience, leave all of the questions that you have for Shannon for part two when we bring her on again. And
Ooh.
yes, make sure you like, follow, subscribe, and all that good stuff, and share it with your bestie. Thank you so much for coming on. And now I'm looking forward to the next one.
Awesome. Thank you.